Guys, we're top of the hour. I'm going to record here. Oh, we are recording. Welcome, everybody. Good day to you all. Welcome to today's general session of the Lavenia Success Mastermind. It is Tuesday, December 8th, and I am Stuart Wilde, and I am glad to be with you guys. As always, I'm grateful for our friend and mentor, Lavenia, for providing this platform for us to explore ideas and have meaningful discussions about life, success, personal development, business, and things like that. And I'm grateful to all you guys for being here and showing up and participating in this mastermind group. And I know that we all find value in such things. Awesome. So let's see. Today, I had a topic kind of already designated, and my friend Adrian Garner will attest to the fact that those of us that are facilitators here for the last several months had to fill out a topic sheet of, the things that we'd like to bring to the group and the things that we'd like to explore and discuss. And I had a topic already set for today. And then really kind of, as I was getting ready to prepare for this session yesterday, I kind of had a little change in direction. And so I want to share that with you guys today. As you know, I tend to be a seasonal person. My business has been a seasonal business for the most part. Our hiking trips with the llamas, typically March to November. We run snowshoe tours in the wintertime, and that's sort of a December to March kind of gig. Living here in the Southern Rockies in the high desert, and many of you guys, I'm sure, will attest that life tends to be seasonal, right? And things tend to affect us or influence us in different ways, right? And my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and the last sessions I talked a little bit about this time of year and what it means to me, and self-reflection, reevaluation, things like that, renewal, rebirth as we come upon the solstice and things like that. And so there, today's topic was just kind of pertinent and was calling out to me. So without further ado, I'll share my screen. I have a little presentation set up here, and then we can chat about stuff. All right. Hello. Excellent. So check this. All right, guys. So I'm calling today's session Aiming for the Center. And there's a little bit of a pun there. We could pronounce it centaur as well, aiming for the centaur. I believe that we have a birthday today, so I'll acknowledge Carlene and anybody else that's birthday it is. And yeah, props and greetings to all the Sagittarii with us here. So aiming for the center, self-discovery, setting goals, and the core values test. Okay. What? So today, you guys, I want to go on a little journey, okay? And I want to go on a journey to the heart of the galaxy and back, with a little stop in feudal Japan, if that makes sense. Maybe it will later. In an attempt to find our center and reevaluate our goals, set goals that are in alignment with our values and with our purpose as the new year comes along. So this is the Milky Way, or at least what's called the ecliptic of the Milky Way. And I read something recently that 80% of Americans, which is, I don't know how that translates to everybody around the world, but I know 80% of Americans can no longer see the Milky Way. And I imagine any place where you have large populations and a lot of light pollution, that it just has become harder and harder to see the stars, right? And to me, that's such an important experience. It connects us, in an unimaginable way, or maybe in an imaginable way, or in a very profound way, excuse me, to the universe around us. Okay, now, if you didn't know, the Milky Way galaxy has a center, okay, and it also has a centaur, as I was saying earlier. Okay, so this is the archer, right? And so some of you guys know, I'm a Sagittarius. I try to find meaning and metaphor in everything. No coincidences. Everything to me has meaning and significance, and I would encourage everybody else to do the same and find the same. No coincidences in life. So you're gonna hear me talk a lot about what I'll call the archer metaphor. Okay, and if you didn't know, this is Sagittarius here. You can see what they call the handle here of the teacup. Okay, now if you didn't know, Sagittarius is an archer, right? And he's a centaur, which is half horse, half human. And if you didn't know, Sagittarius is an archer, right? And so the centaur is releasing an arrow. Do you guys know that Sagittarius the archer is actually aiming at something? Did you guys know that? You guys know what the centaur or what the archer is aiming at? So check this out. So again, there's a little teacup there. Okay, can you guys see over on the right-hand side the galactic center? Okay. Did you guys know that there's a center to the Milky Way, right? It's a spiral galaxy. And there is a center to the Milky Way. And in the center of the Milky Way is a supermassive black hole. Now, this black hole is the source of massive amounts of radio waves, vibrations, gravitational waves, right? And the galactic center is really the source of much of the vibrational radiation that reaches us on planet Earth. And if you remember me talking about the music of the spheres a few weeks back, right? So the galactic center emanates these vibrations that ring through our galaxy, and then all the stars, all the solar systems, all the planets all resonate at these vibrations and at these frequencies. Very, very cool. So I want you to make note that the galactic center here is just inside the ecliptic of the Milky Way. The arrow of Sagittarius points at the galactic center. The galactic center is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, if you didn't know this. Cool, crazy stuff, okay? Now, here's the precession of the constellations, okay? And so this is our zodiac, right? And in the center, you can see, the dense cluster of stars that is the ecliptic of the Milky Way. Now, you can see here the path of the sun, right? Now, check this out, right? The Earth is on a 22-degree wobble, right? And that's what creates this precession of the equinoxes every 26,000 years, right? We come to this complete cycle, right? So I'm going really big. I promise I'll bring us back to the center, but really as above, so below, right? So we're looking out into the galaxy right now, okay? What I find fascinating is the fact that, and if you notice here, there's a constellation called Ophiuchus, right? And Adrian and I were talking about this a few weeks back on one of the Think and Grow Rich sessions. Ophiuchus, the constellation Ophiuchus by NASA just a few years ago, has been included in the zodiac. So if you didn't know, there's actually 13 constellations in the zodiac, Ophiuchus being one of them. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, and is actually named after Asclepius, who's a Greek. And if you look up Asclepius, he is the god of healing and has a staff with one serpent, which predates the caduceus. Very, very interesting, medicine and healing, regeneration, new life, rebirth, in terms of that serpent or snake energy. Pretty fascinating. Now, if you didn't know, guys, we just passed through Scorpio. Many of us that are Sagittarians believe that the sun is now in Sagittarius, but believe it or not, right now the sun is in this constellation of Ophiuchus, okay? And Ophiuchus is where this supermassive black hole is at the center of the galaxy, okay? And it's called Sagittarius A, if anybody wants to look it up. Okay, now this is, I want to say this is a Hubble image of the Milky Way, and in the upper left corner, you can see that really, really bright yellow spot. That is Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Now, when you look out, I don't know if you guys ever really thought about this, but when you look out and you see the ecliptic of the Milky Way, what you're doing is you're looking through the densest, most star-ridden section of the Milky Way. It's a spiral galaxy. You're looking through the spiral arm. That's when you look in the other directions, you're not seeing the densest clusters of our galaxy, okay? So check this out. If you ever wondered what the Milky Way looks like, here it is, okay? It's a spiral arm galaxy, okay? In the center is this supermassive black hole that is 4.1 million times the mass of the sun. Now, if you look out, there are these arms, okay? We are, our solar system, can you guys see the sun at the bottom here by Orion, right? So we are in what's called the Orion arm of the Orion spur of the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy. So the center of the galaxy, these black holes, is pretty amazing, right? So here, let me, one more, there you go. So these black holes in the center of galaxies, and in particular Sagittarius A, there is a massive inflow and outflow, right? We all thought that black holes consumed everything and nothing came out, but now scientists and astronomers have discovered that there is not only an influx of energy, but an outflow, right? And what fascinates me is this black hole in the center of the galaxy is actually where stars are born and where solar systems are born, right? So there's this whole correspondence, as above, so below kind of thing, to the creation, the life and death and birth of stars and solar systems and planets, and they all begin and end in these black holes, and all matter and energy originates and returns to the center of our galaxy. The Mayans called the black hole in the center of the galaxy Hunab Ku. And you can take a look at that, and it's really integral in the Mayan worldview and Mayan calendar. Anyway, so what I wanted to say was, you know, so now we've been talking about like the universe and the galaxy, and we've been getting really cosmic, right? But now I want to bring it back home and back to the center, right? So I'm just going to say our parable, our hermetic parable here, as above, so below, right? So not only is the black hole in the center of our galaxy this source of emanation of energy and matter, right? But our own center is where our creative process and our manifesting process has its seat, right? And so I just, you know, wanted to kind of go big and then bring it back to the individual, right? And so my question, or one of a few questions today, right? And so again, I'm all about metaphors, and I like the metaphor of the archer, you know, aiming at the center of the galaxy. I would ask you guys, what do you do to find your center, right? And what does that even mean? What does it mean to find your center? It sounds kind of new agey, right? Like, ooh, find your center. But really, what does that mean to you? How do you find that place? What does that feel like, right? And so for me, when I think about finding my center, you know, we were talking earlier, Allie was talking about, you know, I live in a beautiful place, and she was enjoying, you know, the images from some of the adventures and mindset sessions that we do. And I was saying that, you know, the key is really remembering, right? So for me, sometimes all it takes is just looking up, seeing the mountains, and then I immediately get kind of hit back into this profound place of connectedness, of gratitude, right? And I have to say, like, I want to hear what this feels like for you guys. But when I try to find my center myself, right? I did it right now, right? I close my eyes and I take a deep breath, right? And I want to center myself. And I feel it in my heart, but I also feel it in my third eye, right? And maybe because I'm a cerebral person, maybe because, I do a lot of thinking, I feel these things connected. But I'm interested in hearing what that means to you guys to find your center, and what techniques you use. I know we have a lot of people that, meditate and do yoga. For me, because I've got some spinal issues, sitting in meditation is hard for me these days. So I do a lot of what I call meditation, right? Which is, laying in my bed and doing visualization and imagination. And then the other question I want to ask you guys is, what do we do once we find it, right? And so, on the one hand, to me, again, this time is a real time of introspection, self-reflection, right? We're coming up on the solstice, the new year, and things like that. And so I'd love to hear what that means to you guys, okay? And then, we all know that it's not just about thinking, it's about acting and doing, right? And so once we find this elusive center, what do we do with it, right? And so now we're going to feudal Japan, okay? And I want to talk about the Zen archers of Japan, okay? So Kyudo is the way of archery, or the Zen of archery. And I want to say, I don't know, several months back, I shared a book with John called Zen in the Art of Archery by a guy named Eugene Perigal. And he visited Japan in the 1920s. And hung out in this monastery with all these Zen archers. He wrote the book in the 40s, but his experience took place in the 1920s. And a couple of takeaways from his experience was, first of all, that can you see the size of these bows that these people are drawing, right? This is a martial art. This is a discipline. This is, and the more you see things like this, the more you learn about these martial arts and these disciplines, the more you realize that the activity itself is really the metaphor for the mental discipline and the personal development that goes along with this. It takes years and years for these people to be able to pull these bows back and hold that string. I don't know what that test is, 80 pounds or something like that. It's it's massive, and to be able to hold that string without your hands shaking, right, and to have peace and centeredness while you're doing this. So the goals of this Zen archery is that the archer will see the arrow hit the target before the arrow is ever released. Okay, so to me, that's a huge metaphor for visualization, achieving our goals, right? So seeing, what do we, so Napoleon Hill says that, we are already in possession, right? We have to act as if our wish has already been fulfilled. So what I think is interesting is that these guys will see the arrow hit the target as if it's already been released, right? And so it's this whole visualization process, pretty fascinating. The second part of this is that the adept archer will become the bow. And this is an interesting concept, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but it's about the loss of self and becoming the weapon, or becoming the tool, becoming the means to achieve your goal, right? And so, and then the final stages in this is that the master moves beyond being the bow and understands that the hitter and the hit are the same, and that the archer is actually aiming at himself or herself, right? So this concept of aiming at ourselves and finding our center is fascinating to me. And then I want to talk a little bit about what's called Zanchin. And Zanchin is the samurai archer art of attention and focus. Now, what does this mean? There is nothing remains in the mind. Zanshin means no remainder in the mind, right? So it's about just hyper focus, hyper attention. Everything else disappears, but your goal that you're focusing on. Now, in Zen and the Art of Archery, Eugene Herrigel talks about how he went out at night with these archers. And this picture was taken in the 1920s. I don't know if these are the actual archers from the book, but very, very similar. And he goes out at night in the dark with these master Bushido archers, and they can't see the target, and the target's far off in the distance. And one of the archers releases the arrow, and it's totally dark. Eugene Herrigel hears the arrow thump, and so he knows it hits the target. The archer releases a second arrow in the dark. Here's the thump. He goes out there with a flashlight, and this guy hit a double bullseye in the dark without being able to even see the target, right? So to me, this is something to strive to. To me, this is, again, a metaphor for being able to achieve our goals, and that we are so driven, we are so laser focused on achieving our goals that we could do it blindfolded, right? So a couple things I want to share with you, things to consider, okay? And this is what I'm calling like the core values test or the integrity test, right? So, for me, again, this time of year, I do a lot of sort of reevaluation, a lot of self-reevaluation, things like that. And so I've come to the place now of going back and reevaluating my goals, right? So one of the things I like to ask myself, again, what are my core values, right? And if you haven't done like a core value statement, whether it's for your business or just for yourself, it's a great exercise, right? Core values tend to be ideals, they tend to be principles, attributes, qualities, things like that, versus other things that would be like more like a mission statement, right? But your core values could be things like integrity, right, that we talk about. And then the other question I ask myself is, are my goals in alignment with those values, right? And so I don't know if anybody's ever experienced, and maybe, during this COVID time, and as we're all trying to redefine ourselves and find our purpose or repurpose our purpose, I don't know if anybody's had this experience where maybe you've set some goals, but then you kind of go back and you look at them and you say, that doesn't really feel right. And, maybe that's that sixth sense thing, or maybe it's trying to force a square peg in a round hole kind of deal. But I'd love to hear anybody's experience with that, and just kind of, the personal value test to our goals, right? The other questions I really like to ask myself are, what am I passionate about, right? And really what that implies is, if you're not passionate about it, then it's not going to be a burning desire, right? If you're not passionate about it, then you're not going to have the ability to, coalesce matter and energy out of the ethers to create the life that we want to live, right? The other question I like to ask is, what do I love to do, right? And sometimes we forget about these things. What do you love to do? What did you love to do when you were a kid? What brings you happiness, right? And if these things aren't involved in your goals somehow, then maybe we need to rethink our goals a little bit. Where do I plan to be in 5 or 10 years? If you could pick just one goal, what would that be that would have the greatest impact on your life, right? I know that we tend to get scattered a lot. We tend to have lists of goals, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to achieve this, and I want to achieve that. But if you could only, if you could only have one goal guaranteed to come to fruition, what would that be? What would have the greatest impact? A couple other things that that I like to think about. If money was no object, what would your life be like? If money was no object, how would you be living? If nothing was impossible, what would you be doing? And then the 3 wishes scenario, right? And to me, this scenario helps us get rid of the I can't or that's not possible kind of mentality. So the 3 wishes scenario is, what if you had 3 wishes that were guaranteed to come true? What would they be, right? Without any fear or any doubt of those wishes or dreams coming to fruition. If you could have 3 wishes, what would those things be? And again, that takes it out of the self, so that, you know, if we have self-doubt or if we have a hard time believing, then this kind of takes it out of the self a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys have done this, but I think it's a great thing to do to describe our ideal life or lifestyle in detail, writing it down, right? And I remember months ago when we first were on call with John, and, you know, even doing some of the AX10 stuff, right? That was one of the homework sessions, was describe your ideal life or your ideal lifestyle, and describe a day in your perfect life. And if you haven't done this in a while, or if you've never done that, it's a really cool and powerful exercise. And then let's see here. All right. So this next one, as I was putting this together, I was thinking of our book study group. And I was part of this, I was thinking about some of the things that Ivier and I have talked about on book study on and off. But, you know, for setting goals, right, here are the real questions. What do I desire, right? And again, what am I passionate about? What is the thing that I want so bad that it's going to be impossible for it not to manifest, where it's going to be impossible for it not to happen? And then this is one of the key things, right? It's about the price we are willing to pay. And sometimes we think of that in a negative sense, but as we know, right, there is no free lunch, right? Everything is an exchange of energy, right? And so what service am I willing to give in order to achieve my goals, right? And again, what price are you willing to pay right now? Starting right now, what service are you willing to give? And then when, right? It's always a good idea, right? Napoleon Hill tells us that we should have a timeline, we should have a deadline for setting goals, right? So when will I have achieved my goal? And note that I put it in past tense, right? Because I want to create a mindset of already having achieved my goal and being grateful for it, right? And then the concept of writing it down and reading it, and we know from everything that we're learning here with John, the importance of writing down our goals, writing down our dreams, and reading these things to ourselves, right? The more senses we can involve in this process, the more impact it has internally, but also the more impact it has externally, let's say. So when you write something down, you know, it's a visual process, it's a physical process, right? And then when we read these things, then it also becomes a visual process. Then it becomes a spoken process. And we all know that words have power, right? Words are things, just like thoughts are things, just like thanks are things. That's my new favorite saying, thanks are things. And the question that I think it's important to, or questions that I think it's important to ask ourselves as well. And again, these are the really important questions. Do I believe 100% without a doubt, do I believe that I can achieve my goal, right? And do I believe 110% without any shadow of a doubt that I am deserving or worthy of having my dreams met, or or to create the life that I want to live? Couple things. So, you know, thinking is great, right? We all know that thinking is fantastic, but we still have to take action once we set our goals, right? So I don't know if you guys know, but you know, goals versus objectives, right? And a lot of people confuse these things. I want to say that almost as frequent as people might mistake mission and vision in terms of, you know, when you're talking about mission statements, vision statements, right? So goals versus objectives. Goals, of course, are big, long-term results that you would like to achieve, right? The time frame tends to be a little bit longer when you're talking about goals, maybe, you know, a year or more, right? Versus objectives, which is actionable tasks, right? So the objectives are the list of things that we can do to achieve our goals, right?
Right.
So these are actionable items that you can do. Whereas, for example, let's say, you know, I might have my goals, you know, on a board or on a list up on the side of my office here, and I may not, you know, take those down handle those, for months at a time kind of thing. Whereas my objectives is essentially my to-do lists, right? And as we talked many times about, organized planning and making lists and things like that, I tend to have so many different aspects of my life, or so many different facets of my life, that I'll make my to-do lists based on, I'll categorize, right? So I'll have like a home and ranch, then I'll have like a llama trekking business one, then I'll have one for the e-commerce business, and I kind of have the honey-do list of all the little things that I got to do around the house or whatever it is. So I separate out all my to-do lists based on categories, and then I put high priority items at the top. And one of my favorite things to do, and I'm sure you guys too, I love to make lists because I love to cross things off my list. It's like my favorite thing to do. I'll make a list of things that I need to do, but I'll throw in a couple of things that I already did just so I can cross them off. Does anybody know that one? So again, writing it all down, I think, again, is just really critical. Everybody tells us to write it down. So write down your goals, write down your objectives, your to-do list, things like that, and read it over and over. VA talked last night about when she goes to bed, she reads her goals and her affirmations that she's written down. Napoleon Hill tells us to do it, twice a day for 5 minutes a day or something like that, to read our goals. So define and take actionable steps, right? So what can you do right now? What can you do right now, today, right? When is now a good time? Is that how that goes? Sean, when is now a good time? Right, so now, take actionable steps now. What can we do today to further our goals and achieve our goals, right? Developing good habits, as we all know. And I gotta say, this is why we'll call it the Lavenia 5, right? Those of you that have been around long enough remember the 5 original books, right? And almost all of them were about creating good habits, being consistent, making decisions, right? These are all the key things to being successful. And I am very much looking forward to reading 7 Habits of Highly Successful People in the upcoming book club. So again, being consistent, as we talked about, being bold and courageous, right? Acting even if we're afraid, in spite of our fear, listening to our sixth sense, our intuition, right? And last night we did the chapter on the sixth sense in Think and Grow Rich. And I think that this is a critical part of not only defining our values, right? Because again, going back to this intuition, John was talking about last night how they had a business opportunity to go into business with somebody, and Shannon was like, it doesn't feel right or whatever, and it turned out to be the right move. And I know that we've all had experiences with our intuition, with our sixth sense, and I would say that whenever we don't listen to our intuition or our sixth sense, we wind up kicking ourselves in the butt, right? Oh, I should have, oh, that's what I thought the first time or whatever, right? So making decisions is often going with your gut, shooting from the hip, making quick decisions coming from your sixth sense, right? And I know everybody's got other things, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or whatever. When I first heard the ready, fire, aim metaphor, that just hit me, because I tend to really do that. I tend to like, and again, being an outfitter, I got to make, I got to assess information and make quick decisions and then adjust course as time goes. So really, this is one of my favorite little sayings: is ready, fire, aim. Make a decision, get it done, and adjust course as needed. All right. So in conclusion, I would just really love to encourage you guys to go within, find your center, aim at yourself, right? And in doing so, let's see how that helps us achieve our goals and hit the target and get stuff done. So I would love, I'm going to stop sharing here. I would love to hear what you guys think about everything that I just dropped on you here, from the metaphor the archer in the sky, aiming at the center of the galaxy, finding our center, setting goals. What do you guys do to set goals, and how's that going to play in with 2021? So thanks, you guys, and I look forward to chatting with you here. So we have Koila. How are you, Koila? What's up? What do you got going on?
If I could unmute myself, I'll say hi there. And I'm not here as much as I used to be because it just is kind of a struggle to fit it in. And yeah, this brought to mind something that occurred not just a few days ago. And I thought, oh, Stuart, that's good timing, as these things normally are. But I honestly don't know whether I can put it into words. So I'll try. This is not the first time this kind of thing has occurred, but it seems to build each time. So I'll start off by saying, we think things are solid. We think we're solid. And that is an illusion. And we know that's an illusion. So we're made of molecules and atoms and small particles, and all of those are divided by a lot of space. And all of them are made of energy. And this is something that I woke up in the night and with this full on feeling. It was a feeling, and it's a feeling I'm trying to put into words. And I was trying to put it into words while I was lying there feeling it. And so there we are. We're really not solid. We're mostly space, and everything around us, however solid it seems, is actually mostly space and made of energy. And in between this so-called space is actually consciousness. So everything that we are, everything that's around us is swimming in like a sea, a 3D sea of consciousness. So it's so when we think that we're just individual, well, yeah, we are, but we're not. We're part of everything else. We really are part of everything else. And everything around us, every small thing, every big thing has some degree of consciousness, however small. And that really didn't do justice to the whole thing that happened to me, but it's the best I can do. And that feeling, that is my center. So it's a center that encompasses everything, if you like. And when I have that feeling, that is just so peaceful, so inspiring, so comforting. So it's just so, it's just so amazing. And to try and this is what the Zen people, what everybody is trying to teach everybody, and they say, and Zen is like it is because it's impossible to put it into words. So they're trying to explain something that's nearly unexplainable. I'm sorry. So I'm trying to explain something that's nearly unexplainable, but I did my best.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Koila. Yeah, I have a similar experience with this feeling of connection to everything. It's both humbling and empowering at the same time. It's both it both makes us feel small and makes us feel really big at the same time, right? So I totally agree with you. It's indescribable, but you did a great job of describing that, right? And to me, I was thinking about this earlier, like what does the center feel to me? And it, like you were saying, it feels calm, right? Peaceful, right? Because there's just this knowingness and this feeling of interconnectedness to everything. So it's a very calm feeling to me. But there's also a confidence that comes with that to me, and this empowerment that I feel. And again, I think that's part of this understanding that while we, right, the dualistic nature of existence, right, where we are individuals, right, we're consciousness experiencing reality, you know, based on our five senses and our individuality, and yet we are part of everything, right? We were talking last night about a quote from the Kabbalion, which is, again, you know, Hermetic principles, but talking about the all in the all, right? So like you were saying, you know, God is in everything, or that spirit is in everything. And Coyle, correct me if I'm right, or maybe one of you guys, but I think it's like 90% dark matter, right? It's, you know, in space, right? So, and everything, right? And so even though we are atoms and molecules vibrating, you're absolutely right that the bulk of reality in the universe is empty space, energy, potential, right? Thank you so much, Coyle. Ali, how are you today, Ali? What's on your mind?
Hi, oh, that's just amazing. And to connect with space is just, to see those pictures is just awesome. I went on one of those, you sit in the seat and it's, the whole ceiling is a screen, and it was a space ride. So we were like, it was just like we were in a spaceship and we were just riding through our solar system, and we were going past all the planets, and you could see how inhospitable they were, just a ball of gas, or just completely inhospitable. And then we came over this planet to see Earth, and this unbelievably blue, stunning green blue planet. It's just a miracle. It's just absolutely, it was just so awe-inspiring. So, and to think that we have that connection, that we are, as Coyle was saying, you know, we have the same energy as all of this around us, is just so empowering, that we can, and that connection to that energy is so crucial. And I think amazing to see the archers. I saw the Kyudo drummers. I don't know if anyone's seen them. Oh my goodness me. I mean, I actually had to try and stop myself from screaming in the middle of the Royal Festival Hall in London. It was the sound that was coming, it just grew. It was so immense. The energy that was coming off them, and their precision, their mastery, and they meditate through it. And that to me is absolute connection with music, and feeling that center core and the energy. And I think sometimes you can feel it when you say driving somewhere, and you suddenly don't remember how you got from A to B, because you are in an utter relaxed concentration. You're totally focused, but you are utterly relaxed. I sometimes find that when I do find driving very cathartic, and I do kind of meditate through it sometimes. And but yeah, so many ways you can find it. But to me, yeah, I think that's when the sixth sense becomes so clear, when you feel that connection. And anyway, that's that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Ali. You reminded me of the times that I've been to the planetarium, right? And I'm sure that everybody here has been to a planetarium. I grew up in New York, and I remember going to the Vanderbilt Planetarium at the Museum of Natural History in New York City. And yeah, they did the Pink Floyd laser light show there at midnight on Saturday nights or whatever it was, and I frequented that as well. But I do remember going to the planetarium shows, and every time, like you're talking about, Ali, where they take you on this kind of you know, flying through the universe or the galaxy, and they kind of either pull you out from Earth and show you, you know, where we are in the galaxy, or they start out there and they bring you back. I've had really profound moments at these planetarium shows, like brought to tears at just the amazing magnificence of the universe, right? So thank you for sharing it. Te Aroha, my friend Coral.
Kia ora, Stuart. I do like the way you say my name. Thank you. Stuart, well, you just covered so much. You took us out into the universe and down black holes and all over the place, and then got us back to our goals and our the things that are important to us on a day-to-day level. So there's so much to cover, but I just wanted to talk about getting centered, and the other thing was, as you asked, where is your center? Because when I started into this, I found that actually some people, their head is their center. And I think that's probably you in your case, because you have this third eye, and you're always thinking about things. So you probably find it very difficult to get to sleep over night time. So much stuff going through your head. And then there's, and then for others like myself, it's my belly. And, in our culture, getting together and sharing love and sharing time and sharing food is just a really, really important part of that. But to get centered, I find several things really important. Number one is to deep breathe. Number two, as John says, get your shit organized. I hate being in a really untidy surroundings. I can't cook, I can't work, I can't get down to business if my desk or my room is out of place. So that has to be organized. Meditation, along with these affirmations, depending on where your center is, you have different affirmations. So, with some days I think my heart is my center. So, my affirmation is, I'm grateful to be alive and well, and I release anything that does not serve me. And I find that really helpful, along with music. And then once I'm centered, then I can get myself grounded, because I don't want to take all the negative stuff down into the ground with me. So I find that really helpful. But thank you, Stuart. As usual, you take us to the universe and back, and thank you so much. In fact, all the speakers are all brilliant, Adrian, Evie, the lot. But today, thank you, Stuart. I love your talks. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, props to all the facilitators, and gratitude to all the people that put time and energy together to host these sessions for us here. Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Cyril, how are you, Cyril? What's going on, buddy?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I love that, Stuart. That was great. And Coilers, from the macro to the micro. I love that too. I was going to say, to begin with, my way, when I found it, which became really useful to me, was meditation. That really, and the more I do it, the more centered I am, which is great. But these days, thankfully, I don't need it as much as I used to when I was younger, because I was so nervous when I was younger. But to be honest, because I did it for so long, actually, I can just click myself into it if I really want to, apart from if I'm overly excited, or upset. But fundamentally, I remember my friend once told me that the Italians have a name for what we call goosebumps, and what the Italians call it is brividi, if I remember rightly. And to be honest, when I want to click into my meditative state, I just have to remember the feeling of that. In fact, I just did it. But the feeling of when kind of you start to get those goosebumps up your spine, and that's usually when I click in, whenever I'm doing it, meditation, or if I just think about doing it. So I find that really useful. Although I said I haven't mastered the art of doing that when I'm upset, though. So still some things to work on. Another thing that really does it for me is the beauty of the world. I see a wonderful sunset, and that'll do similar things to me. If I'm in a beautiful landscape, I'm already doing it because I love it. Looking into some beautiful eyes will sometimes do it to me as well. But so yes, the beauty of the world around me is lovely. I find that magnificent. But I just wanted to add something that has been that they've I think they've only known for I don't know, last 20 or 30 years or something, is that most trees are connected. They literally touch each other. Their roots are so widely connected that they think something happening on the edge of forest, the other trees on the other side already know about it, because they are so interconnected. And it is so, and also because it's not only the trees that connect, it's the fungi as well. The fungi is apparently it's an even bigger organism, because we just see the odd spurt up in a particular small area, but in reality, the roots or the main body again covers almost, they found that it covers almost the entire earth, the earth underneath the forest, for example. So and that also connects with the trees and the other plants, because they are interconnected in terms of how they work together, often synergistically in terms of giving nutrients, as well as I think information as well. But I presume so. I can't remember. It was a long time since I saw that particular documentary, but which I have always felt was really wonderful as an idea, let alone reality. So and then human beings are said to do the same thing on a wider basis as well, in terms of the way we think. Well, I presume that's when we are at one.
Oh, God.
So yes, my little 10 cents worth. Thank you.
Dude, that's more than
well,
10
well
cents
done,
worth,
Stuart.
man. That's about $1 million worth. Well done. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Interesting, talking about trees, right? I think there's a book I read a while back called The Hidden Life of Trees. But it kind of speaks to, if you've seen Avatar, that concept of the interconnectedness of the trees and nature. But what you were alluding to, the largest living organism on the planet is a fungal organism that covers 20% of the continental landmass of the United States. One fungal body that goes from the Great Lakes area all the way out to the Pacific Northwest. And then here,
also, I don't think it's limited to just the fungi, because if I remember rightly, there are sea creatures that do something similar as well, if I remember rightly. I can't remember which organism it is, but and so much so that they can see, for example, swarms of minute organisms from space when they use the right photography. So
well, I'll look into that too. That's awesome. And then the other thing, what you were talking about, is the trees. And here in the Rockies, we have the aspen tree, which is our version of a poplar. And
I love aspen. Yeah, not to be confused with birch, because it looks a bit like birch when they're old. Yeah, I remember it was one of the first trees I learned to recognize.
They are the high altitude birch trees. But the aspen is considered the second largest living organism on the planet. So they share a root system, and these aspen groves here in the Rockies span thousands of acres, and they've all been DNA tested to be the same tree. So it's pretty fascinating.
Oh, wow.
And then what you were talking about not only the root systems connecting with each other, but really it's the fungal nodes, like you were talking about. So there is this mycelial fungal connection that connects all the root systems of these trees. And not only does it create the ability to divert resources, water, communication, so if this stand of trees over here has enough nutrients and has enough water, they can shut off that mechanism and push water and resources to other trees in the forest. Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's lovely. Amazing.
Thank you so much, man. All right.
Well done, man. Well done.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for your share. Therese, how are you, Therese? What's going on with you today?
Hi, Stuart. Oh, wow. What a great topic. you know, I was always, I've always been that kid that kind of spins off and starts thinking about that kind of stuff. Oh, I have always, I'll start looking at my veins in my wrist, and I'll start looking at the lines in the palm of my hand, and then I start looking at the plant that's in my house, and I'm always so connected to how we're so arrogant to think that our species is like the all end all, and we blatantly ignore our connection every day, and it and again and again, Mother Nature does take kind of the stronghold. At least I hope it can survive, because without it we wouldn't be here. But in my opinion, so I guess even from a very, very early age, I was that kid who had a hard time focusing on what was in front of me and the expectations of following this set up standard from the scholastic system, or how we were supposed to do things. And I've always been, just get outside, play in the grass, look at the veins in the grass from a very early age. So, and I was kind of an odd kid, and I think, even my siblings thought I was odd. I think my dad is the only one who was like, she's a chip off the block. But so yeah, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to hear you talk about it, and Cyril, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that's where I find my center. Taking a moment to just, every morning chit-chatting with my plants, making sure they're tended to, that they feel my vibration, I feel theirs, and it sets the course for my day. It's a little tough to be living in an apartment building and not be able to just start my morning on the run through the trees like I used to, but I still have a lot of gratitude for the structure that protects me. And yeah, so I don't know, I guess for me, it's more of a challenge to get focused on what is the task at hand, instead of pondering
you want to spend your day in the center.
I do.
You want to spend your life in your center. I love it.
That's really where I think, yeah. So for me, the challenge is to quit, to activate and quit daydreaming, I suppose, is what I was always told. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stuart. A beautiful presentation.
Thank you. I relate because, yeah, it's easy for me to go off on the mental trip, right? And, I tend to be, cerebral and in my head. And at the same time, yeah, to be able to get past that and do stuff, right? And so that's why I try, as much as I like on these sessions, I can get really esoteric and cosmic and all this kind of stuff, but really I'm all about bringing it back home to like, all right, what are the actionable things? What can we do? What can we actually do to get stuff done? So
yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cheers. And Nancy, and we'll finish out with Nancy.
Oh, geez. Okay, I'll try to keep it brief because I see we're right about at time. Hi, everyone. Stuart, I am always impressed with you and all the presenters. You guys, I just feel so humbled by all of you. You know so much about so many things. So I'll just start there, and thank you for inspiring me. I want to say something about the center. How do I, just that maybe hasn't been talked about, which to me, it's not necessarily a fixed place. It's sort of in general, I can find in general where it is in my body. That's the first thing I think of because I'm movement oriented. It's like below my navel, and in the Eastern tradition, they call it the dantian, but it's a band, it's not a spot, right? And it moves and it shifts. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And it's not a one-time deal. Like I find my center and that, yeah, for the next 50 years, I got it. No, it is a shifting, moving, ever kind of evasive, evolving thing. So that's something that's important to me to remember. And then the other thing is, because I'm movement oriented, of course, like Coral, I find it first by my own watching my breath awareness, breath practices, movement practices. It doesn't have to be yoga, but that's of course one thing that I love to do. And then really most importantly is my particular kind of meditation that I do, which is Nilakantha meditation. It's a heart seed mantra based meditation. And it is very powerful and very deep, and it's very specific, and you do the same thing every time. So it's simple in that way. But what I want to say about that is where I find center there, kind of like connected to Koila, is in that place where I don't know where I go. It's timeless, right? So it's not, I'm awake, but not really. I'm not sleeping, but not really. I'm not dreaming. I'm not, what's the other state? Sleeping, dreaming, waking. It's the fourth state, the Turiya state. It's that place where you and everything else meshes together. That is a pretty curious and amazing place. And when I feel that, I feel calm, like you were talking about, Stuart. I feel expansive. I feel love. So that's my share. And I'll write down the name of the meditation because it's worth looking up. Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm really glad for your share. As I was putting this topic together, of course, there were a few people in the group I was thinking about, right? I was thinking about Nancy and Therese and Nicola, who are doing our Mind, Body, Spirit sessions on the network here. So I'm glad to hear your share. I loved what you said about the Dantien, right? The center. And that reminded me of what Coral was saying about how she feels her center in her belly as well. And I'll just add that, when I'm out in the backcountry and I'm sleeping, out in the wilderness, on the ground, in my sleeping bag, I do these breathing exercises where I feel through my belly, I connect to the earth, right? I send my energy into the earth and back. Other people do grounding. Lee is really a big fan of the grounding exercises where, you send energy through your feet, roots, planting down into the earth kind of thing. So grounding and centering, that's even another interesting discussion of, what's the difference between grounding and centering, right? So we can talk about that another time. Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. What a great session. Thanks for all your shares. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping before we sign off here. So let's see, coming up here, we have the hospitality suite if anybody wants to hang out and have a chat. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have corporate curios with our friend Ivie Barnabas, and please join Ivie's session. She's a fantastic storyteller, and of course we know a wonderful person. So join Ivie today, this afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern, and then this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have a special session of Adventures in Mindset with a special guest, John Lavenia. And John and I have been talking about, John approached me maybe a week or so ago about doing a session on survival and preparedness. And we kind of threw around some ideas about what kind of things we could do in this format. And aside from doing demos on Zoom of, how to make fires without matches and how to do this and how to do that, really what we talked about was making the discussion about organized planning and preparedness in uncertain times, right? And so, through our studies with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, right, we all know the importance of organized planning in our businesses. But this kind of takes it to a different level in terms of dealing with uncertain times. How can we be prepared for our lives and our families? And so we'll talk about urban preparedness, what kind of things maybe you guys want to have in your homes, things like that. So I'm interested in having this discussion. I think it's going to be a great session, and I'll thank John in advance for joining us tonight, and I'll thank you guys in advance for joining us tonight as well. So with that said, unless anybody has anything they'd like to share, we'll call it a morning, and we'll catch you later. All right, cheers everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you,
Amazing.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great topic.